I'm the Jepoy Vlogs. Today, I'm going to talk about the American romantic drama film Cashback. Be careful and stay away from the spoilers. You know why you clicked this video. Ben, a 25-year-old man with a baby face who is always kind and gentle to others, is the movie's protagonist. It would seem that he would make a great friend, but the reality is quite the opposite. Ben doesn't exactly commit serial murder. However, he can halt time and do whatever he pleases. Naturally, he uses this to strip women and perform his favorite activity, painting. Whether he's on the road, in the grocery store, or even in the movies, Ben freezes hot girls and draws nude portraits of them. However, this was not always the case. Ben was just like the rest of us, a normal guy. He had a loving girlfriend and a bright future, but all he did in his dreams was paint naked women. In the movie, Ben and his girlfriend Susie are shown having an argument 5 weeks earlier, when everything went wrong. Susie is enraged even more when he breaks up with her after she calls him a loser and has had enough. She starts throwing things at him, and everything slows down for the band at this point. In the fallout of the separation, Susie rapidly continues on and tracks down comfort in another person, then, at that point, sees them together in the school cafeteria and becomes upset. Therefore, as a means of self-distraction, he enrolls in art classes. Ben has always been interested in painting portraits, and he effortlessly creates stunning paintings, surprising even the instructor. Ben specializes in painting highly realistic human portraits. Ben is said to be the best painter of dong in all of the land. But at night, things get really hard for him. Ben closes his eyes repeatedly to indicate that he is still reeling from the breakup. Ben finally calls Susie and begs her to come back after seeing her for days and eventually becoming an insomniac. He can't sleep for even an hour now because his memories of his ex-girlfriend are slowly turning him into a depressed maniac. Ben also apologizes to Susie for turning their relationship into a mess and promises to never do it again, but Susie refuses despite Ben's incredibly low regard for her. Completes the call. If only he could just freeze time and look at boobs, this would have sent him spiraling into an even deeper pit of despair. Over the next few days, Ben tries to pass the time by reading books, goes on solo trips to different cities and even watches movies. However, as soon as it gets dark, the insomnia sets in, making it more difficult for him to focus on anything else. As a result, he also starts going on random tours at night. He goes to a nearby supermarket one night and finds an advertisement for a night shift worker. Ben applies for the position right away because he sees it as the ideal opportunity to pass the time and make some money at the same time. The following day, he gets an interview with Jenkins, the manager, and eventually gets hired. After a long time, Ben is finally content, and as he adjusts to his new job, he gets the feeling that his life is about to change. He takes note of the unique ways in which each of his coworkers approaches the art of passing the time. For example, cashier Sharon Pont always makes sure to cover the clock with a variety of objects. That the time will elapse gradually assuming she checks it out. Then there's Barry Brickman, a sleazy individual who never takes work seriously, and Matt Stevens, a similarly cunning friend. He pranks the women who come in, like putting an adult toy in their bags. Going to jail is the best way to pass the time. However, when some of the customers discover it, they are perplexed. Some of them decide to keep it, and Jenkins, their boss, seems to have no interest in the time. Once he begins with his egotistical speeches, he can go on and on about how rich and successful he is. Ben disassociates himself from time and reality in the throes of his deep melancholy, though Spen, an employee working the night shift, has the most unusual method of passing the time. For him, time passes very quickly. To put it another way, he makes use of his superpowers to stop time and eventually his surroundings, allowing him to do whatever he pleases. Ben picks random customers because he is in awe of the female body and just wants to hone his artistic skills instead of running away with money or engaging in explicit behavior. Ben gently removes their clothes and begins drawing portraits of them. Ben has no ill will toward them. He simply wants to ensure that his love of art never fades. Ben, that's certain. This has become Ben's life, and when he is done, he dresses them up again and cracks his fingers, causing time to flow again. Presently it isn't something that he can be pleased with. However, at least he is not as depressed or insane any longer. Slowly but surely, he has begun to divert his attention away from Susie at home. Ben spends a lot of time with his best friend Sean, with whom he has been best friends since they were children. Ben just does it against their will, whereas Sean is the complete opposite of Ben because all he wants to do is get into a girl's pants. Ben meets Sharon, the cashier, in the Walker room on his night shift, and it becomes clear that he has been to every strip club in the city. He seems to be in love with her, but he can't bring himself to say it. Yet, as they talk, the cordial clerk whittles down his sandwich, stunning him. A little piece of pickle adheres to Sharon's cheek and she ungracefully attempts to clear it off, yet without much of any result, seeing her battle. Ben steps in and wipes it off because it was such a silly moment between them. Maybe one day I can put my pickle on your face. Sharon decides to leave and walks toward the door. No, that's not what I did. It came out wrong. Ben wants to freeze the moment and live it for a week, but by the time he wakes up, Sharon has already left. While he's working, he sees a man emerge from one of the stalls and tells him that he and Sharon are going to the movies. Ben is devastated and wonders why he is so unlucky. He then thinks back to his school days, when he first fell in love. She was the smartest girl in the class, and everyone liked her. One day, she got into an accident and broke her arm. She had to wear a heavy cast every day, and her classmates wrote encouraging messages on it to help her feel better. Ben. He also wanted to write, but he was too nervous to even approach her. Unfortunately, the girl removed her cast a few days later, so his reluctance cost him the opportunity. Although they were pleased to see her fully recovered, they began to make fun of her when they noticed that she had grown some hair on that arm. When the girl eventually starts to cry, Ben decides to intervene and takes her to a corner to console her. A day later, the girl suddenly approaches Ben and asks if he wants to kiss her without thinking twice. Ben says he will be there with her no matter what, and the two agree to meet at their favorite weekend spot, Ben, as he announced that he would first kiss a female. He wastes his time for the following couple of days, and when the end of the week at long last comes, Ben arrives early and waits there all day, but the girl doesn't show up. This breaks his heart. The next day at school, Ben learns that the girl and her parents have moved to another city. Jenkins gathers all of his employees and informs them that they are going to play a friendly football match with his friends because this is the first time he has felt helpless and depressed in the present. During the match, Ben and the others have no choice but to not participate. The supermarket team loses a lot because it's obvious that none of them know how to play. Meanwhile, the opposition team scores more goals, making it 26-0 when Ben scored. He freezes the time and goes to the locker room to unwind. Then, a guy breaks the freeze and leaves. This demonstrates that Ben is not the only one with this ability. After a while, he goes outside and snaps his fingers, allowing time to return to its original form. In the heat of the moment, Matt kicks the ball so erratically that it hits Jenkins in the first. He is quickly raced to the medical clinic and the wide range of various partners return home, abandoning Ben and Sharon. In the following scene, the teeth drop by at a close-by burger joint and attempt to get to know one another better. There Ben becomes more acquainted with that she is really single and that Matt was simply kidding about dating her. Ben reciprocates when she tells him about her dreams. Sharon says that she has always wanted to meet a painter because she thinks they can see the true beauty of things even in the face of the true beauty. After their unofficial date, Ben walks Sharon home and awkwardly ruins their first kiss by pecking her on the cheeks when she wanted it on the lifts. However, as the two talk, it may be evident that they have chemistry. The next day, Ben was still thinking about the pickle. A disfigured Jenkins announces that he will be throwing a party for his birthday. Sharon asks Ben if he wants to go with her as a date, and Ben happily agrees. Jenkins calls the boys to his office and assigns them separate tasks for his birthday preparations. Ben is left out of the equation when Jenkins tells him to hire a stripper for the party. He knows just the person who can assist him in the future, despite the fact that he has never spoken to one. Ben asks his best friend Sean for assistance, promising to accompany him to the party if they succeed. The two then head to a nearby club, where Sean employs his expertise to hire a girl for the party the following morning. Ben receives a call from an unknown individual claiming to be an artist from Abu Dhabi and claiming that he owns an art gallery in the city and would like to exhibit some of Ben's work there. The latter is delighted for the first time in his life. His art has been appreciated, but he doesn't know it was a prank call from Barry and Matt that night. Ben gets ready for the party and runs to pick Sharon up as soon as she opens the door. He tells Sharon with joy that a well-known organization wants to display his artwork, and Sharon gives him sincere congratulations. The two head to the party. When they show up, the party is now in progress. Sean is being dismissed by a young lady, Matt and Hindrance moving like sociopaths, and Jenkins is on the DJ. All of a sudden Barry sees his ex Susie among the participants. Soon after the stripper arrives, the party in particular is heated up, and it turns out that she is the girlfriend of Jenkins' brother. While Ben goes to the bathroom, he runs into Sissy, who expresses her desire for them to reconcile and rekindle their relationship right away. Sean and she connect right away. Naturally, Ben doesn't want it because he has already met the love of his life, but the crazy girl insists without warning. She even gives him a hard kiss. Ben pushes her back right away, but Ben turns around. Ben tries to explain that it's not what it looks like, but he knows Sharon saw the whole thing. Ben immediately goes to Sharon's apartment and tries to explain everything to her, but she is too blinded by her anger when she starts hurling obscenities, and Ben gets upset. After a while, the innocent cashier leaves without saying a word. He relapses into his depression and insomnia world as a result of the breakup. He only looks forward to his appointment with the fictitious art gallery company, who called him in the following scene. When the time comes, Ben goes there with some of his best work, as expected. The exhibition proprietor denies making a meeting with him, causing Ben to understand that he has been tricked, yet similarly as he is going to leave, the proprietor sees a portion of his portrayals of Sharon and requests to see. Obviously, he enjoys them, and Ben has offered a night to show his work in the display a couple of days after the fact. Sharon gets an authority greeting to Ben's craft show, in spite of the fact that she is furious with him. When Sharon arrives at the gallery, she is taken aback to discover that the artwork there is about her, but she still decides to go there. It turns out that Ben spent all of his time working on Sharon rather than taking portraits of other women. He could not look at any other woman because she was the love of his life. However, how exactly does he know the shape of my nipples? Meanwhile, Sharon and Ben finally meet, and Ben tries to explain what happened at the party. Sharon, though, claims that he did not. Doesn't have to, because she now knows how much he loves her just by looking at his paintings. As a result, in the final scene, the two get closer and share a romantic kiss in the middle of the art gallery room. Ben uses his powers to freeze everything, but Sharon is still able to move in the frozen world this time. After that, the two of them go outside into the snow, where millions of snowflakes are suspended in the air. At long last, the lovebirds kiss once more, and the movie comes to a happy conclusion. Turn on notifications, please subscribe for more videos like this one, and like the channel to support it. I appreciate your attention.